Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors Business Meeting, Thursday, December 4th, 2025, 6 p.m. The meeting is being live streamed via YouTube for viewing only. This video is going to be recorded for posting on the Township website. A video camera has been installed in the Township auditorium for security purposes only. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair Darby?
Here.
Vice Chair Charles?
Here.
Supervisor McFarland?
Here.
Supervisor Knights?
Here.
Supervisor Newfield-Gleis?
Here.
And our Student Representative Aubrey Patton.
Here.
Everyone is here.
Great. Prior to the meeting, we had an executive session to discuss personnel matters and litigation. So we have a few presentations today and special guests. So, but first, we'll hear from Aubrey, our student representative. Report.
Hello, everyone. So we just had off Wednesday to Friday last week for Thanksgiving break, but the Tuesday before we had the student versus teacher basketball game where everyone who wanted to watch paid $5 and we raised $1,300 for Mini-thon to support childhood cancer. 4 of our students were just selected to participate in the Montgomery Community Honors String Orchestra. There are winter keystones coming up December 8th and 9th. We also just welcomed our Chief of Police, Chief Stead, to the district. And the winter sports just started, and we wish them all luck this season. And only a few more weeks till Christmas, so we only have, we end the 24th of December.
Yeah. Of course. Great, that's awesome. All right, thank you, Aubrey. Next up, we have special guests, Courtney Marengo and Sam Engel for the Jaybird Foundation project proposal for Castleberry House.
Just Courtney.
Welcome. Hi, Courtney. Good.
Thank you guys so much for having us today. Okay. Thank you guys so much for having us today. My name is Courtney Marengo, and I'm the president of the Jaybird Foundation. I'm here with my board and team, Sam Engel, our vice president, Marissa Ciancio, our treasurer, Brian Maxwell, our secretary, and Damian Brewster, one of our advisory board members. So I just want to thank you for having us this evening. And I really want to give a special thank you to EJ, Paul, and Joe, who have been really instrumental in spending some time with us to really work through this project. And just let you know that we're grateful for the access agreement that was approved a couple months ago, because we've had the opportunity to kind of bring in any and everyone to kind of get a stamp of approval on moving forward with the project. So we do appreciate that. The Jaybird Foundation was kind of created here. We're all about residents of Collegeville and Skipback Township. We are looking to restore historic properties for adaptive reuse. So our vision is that a lot of the properties around and in Montgomery County and the surrounding areas, that we can identify what those properties are and kind of essentially save them from being demolished. So that's kind of the goal of our foundation. As a board, we collectively have decades of experience in leadership, community outreach, nonprofit management, business development, finance, construction. So all of the components that are really necessary in order to kind of be successful in these endeavors. Who's changing the slides? Okay, Paul. Okay. Okay, Paul, thank you. So kind of how our foundation works is we kind of are based on 5 pillars. So the first one is preserving historic property. So that's first and foremost. So we are identifying what properties within Montgomery County do we want to save, what do have some local or national historical significance. The second piece is making sure that we find adaptive reuse partners. So identifying who are the potential tenants of these buildings and who's going to be utilizing them. The third piece is making sure that the community is aware of their local history. So we know that we're very fortunate here in Pennsylvania that we kind of like you can kind of walk out your front door and trip over a piece of history, right? But a lot of us aren't like honestly aware of the significance of each piece. And Lower Providence has a lot of really amazing history right here. So we want to make sure that communities are understanding what's available to them.
Yeah, the property we are talking about is even showcased right here. Behind it. So that is the property.
Thank you. Yeah, it does. Well, yeah, so that's actually perfect because that's what we want to get back to. The fourth pillar is workforce development, and I see that you guys are incredibly dedicated to that by even having Aubrey here today. So that's another piece, is we want to make sure that as we're learning this process, as we're working through restoring and preserving properties, that we're giving opportunities to students to do that alongside with us so that they're learning the skills that can go into the next generation. The last piece is preservation advocacy. So we've also been working with state and local leaders to make sure that we are making sure that the government is funding and protecting our historic places and parks. So that's something that's really important to us as well. So why adaptive reuse? I think a lot of us have seen several of these types of projects where you get a group of folks together, maybe a historical society, they try to save a building, they maybe put on a new roof or windows, and then after a while, the group dissipates and we kind of end up kind of back where we started. So what really sets Jaybird apart from the other groups is that we are really focused on making sure that the buildings are earning their own income and that they're sustainable over time so that we're not back here 30 years from now having the same conversation. We know that adaptive reuse preserves the character of buildings and saves them from demolition. We know that multi-use renovations build business ecosystems right where we live so that we're not having to then develop more property. It makes communities walkable, it's environmentally friendly, it's more economically responsible and efficient to rehabilitate buildings versus demolishing them and rebuilding. And again, highlighting that local history truly strengthens communities' bonds and their pride. So we know that to be true. So why the Derrick Castleberry property? So based on all of the pillars of our foundation, this property obviously caught our eye. It has 4 acres. It's a historic site. It's got national and local history. It has a 3-story farmhouse, a root cellar, a well, a stone smokehouse, and an auxiliary building. And all of these structures are stable and they have great foundations, but they are in deterioration and decaying. So this property specifically has a lot to offer the community and is an incredible opportunity to kind of work through all of the pillars that the Jaybird Foundation is looking to accomplish. The history of the property, and again, for those of you who may not know, that in 1777, it did house George Washington after the Battle of Brandywine. So we do know that. In the 1800s and early 1900s, it operated as a tannery. It has a black walnut tree on property. In the 70s, the state of Pennsylvania was trying to implement Act 70 to flood a lot of this area that we're actually in right now. And so they actually, at that time, even identified the Castleberry property as worth preserving and excluded it from that process. So then in the 60s, William Weaver and James Reese partnered to take the property on and actually used it as an incubator for a lot of engineering, construction, and electrical businesses. So it's actually already been utilized exactly how we want to envision it today. And then the 1990s and beyond, it's had some different scattered uses and then ultimately landed back in the hands of Lower Providence. So the key opportunities that the township has to partner with us is a public-private partnership. We know that those are very successful in aiding townships and municipalities in doing projects just like this, where resources, time, and money are really tight for everyone. Doing a public-private partnership is really beneficial to the township to make sure that the property or the project is successful. We know that there's opportunity for zoning that property to Evansburg Village Commercial to work together to apply for state and federal grants. Obviously, we can do the work of renovating and restoring the property. And then working to identify a nonprofit, professional service, small business, or community group that could utilize, somebody within the community who's already looking for space to operate out of. The auxiliary house, which you can see there in the picture, We envision that as our office and headquarters for the Jaybird Foundation because we are actually looking for a permanent home. So that would be really exciting to have something right here in the middle of the Evansburg Historic District. We are already partnered with Thomas Jefferson University, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But it would be able to use this property as part of our Emerging Leaders program. And then finally, for Lower Providence, featuring a renovation like this would be really amazing for the America and 250 PA celebrations that are coming up in the following years. So the big question is always money, right? How are we going to fund this? So we've spent the last year doing a lot of research and meeting with a lot of stakeholders in Montgomery County and the state to identify a sustainable funding model. So we know that for a project like this, diverse funding is really, really important. So on the chart here, you can kind of see where we see how we will work with government grants, crowdfunding, foundation grants, private donations, and corporate donations to kind of build a portfolio to support the different phases of the project. So we look at this as 3 major phases. Phase 1 being planning and design, phase 2, stabilization and restoration, and then phase 3 would be occupancy, and then that evaluation piece would be seeing the property earn its own income again to reinvest back into it, so it's its own entity. So this is kind of how we see the phases going, with a lot of, in addition to in-kind and volunteer work as well. So the Thomas Jefferson University partnership is something we're really, really excited about. Their School of Architecture is excited to work with us. So as we move through different projects, they have 5th year and graduate level architecture students that are actually specializing in preservation, adaptive reuse, construction management, landscape design, real estate development, and architecture, so that they can kind of walk along with us, especially in that first phase, that planning phase, to kind of help us do design work. And in turn, they're getting a lot of hands-on experience that they might not get otherwise working with other groups. So another thing, too, is since we are in the Evansburg Historic District, we can expand the project for the students into the state park and identify some of the other buildings that would complement the Castleberry property. So we're really excited about that. And then in conclusion, like we talked about, and that's the best picture I could find, but that one's even better. So imagine it all snowy and for the holidays. But we really do see this as an incredible opportunity, not only to partner with Lower Providence and again, show a really amazing project for the PA 250, but to also understand that partnering with us with a clear adaptive reuse vision, a phased approach, and a sustainable funding model can turn this liability into another, get back into the historical landmark that it deserves and should be honored as. Thank you so much.
So what's our real ask?
Yeah, that they partner with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of what we're here today to present.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, Sam, along with it. So we're kind of here today just to ask and get your opinion if you'd be willing to work with us to do this. And that's really what we're looking to do. And bring everyone on board. So if there's questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Okay.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about this. Yeah, that's why we even entertained it.
All right, awesome. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure
So,
you knew what we were
yeah,
looking
yeah,
to do.
yeah. So we definitely want that house to be used and purposeful. So education is great, and economic development is also great. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Yeah.
I think one of my concerns, though, is with money drying up at the federal and the state level for grants, over-reliance on grants. And I do see that you have a mix of looking at different corporate, private donations, et cetera. That's one of my big concerns with the grants. I mean, I am very excited about this, too. I think it's a great idea, and I love the partnership with Thomas Jefferson University. I'm just a little concerned about the grant environment that we're in now.
Yeah. So, I mean, Yeah, no, and that's a great point, right? It's always time or money, and we're willing to invest the time now to do it, right? And we kind of envision that smaller ancillary building becoming our permanent location, right? Then doing that, creating the revenue and other opportunity to continue to build this, right? So we've worked with the Skippack Historical Society. I'm on the board over there as well with Courtney. And that building is controlled by the state, but for the last 30 years, we've had a lease, 50 years, we've had a lease agreement where we're able to continue to maintain it and upkeep it, keep the history alive. And that's kind of what we envision here.
Great.
Just a quick question about like the business model for it. So it sounds like you're looking to get upfront funding to rehab the property and get it
Yeah,
back
it's
to where
gonna
it
be
needs to be.
milestone driven, right? Like we
Yep.
need to get some, first there needs to be some stabilization because you got a raccoon living on the third floor.
Yep. And then once once that is done, then I guess part of the model is that you would lease the property out to someone,
Correct.
some entity, and then with that, like, would you hold on to those funds and use them, like, for your organization, or how does the income and revenue and all that work?
Sure. So basically, the revenue that we would get from the tenants from the lease work goes back into investing back into the property. Some of that monies will help with operations for the Jaybird Foundation, but the majority of it, in true nonprofit fashion, will go back into the property itself. And
Okay.
so that way we can stabilize it and keep it renovated and not have to worry about it kind of deteriorating again.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And your point to the grants too, that is absolutely a fair concern. I work in a nonprofit full-time, so I completely understand that. But we have identified several grants. We've worked with state representatives, and we've talked to the economic development stakeholders in the county to kind of identify what potential funding streams are still available and that should remain available. Because trust me, that was our absolute biggest concern. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
If I could just follow up on a couple of those things. The pie chart shows your sources for funding.
Yes.
How big is that pie? Do you know yet? In terms of how many dollars is that going to be?
Not yet. We've had architects look at the property and engineers look at the property, and it really comes down to when we get into the planning phase is to understanding what pieces of the house need to be historically preserved and what can be kind of modernized, if that makes sense. So like what materials do we want to use, like true authentic materials, and what materials can be, more affordable
Okay.
and more
So-
updated.
So that's kind of the next step for you.
Correct.
I know you're not there yet. I was just curious if you had any idea what the scope of that was. 500,000, $1 million?
Yeah, we're looking at under $1 million.
Under $1 million?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And I understand and appreciate your desire to have a sustainable revenue stream, but how much of that building would remain open to the public as a historic site that they could visit, or would it be completely consumed with private enterprise occupation?
No, that's a great question, and that's actually something that's one of our pillars for the foundation is making sure that the property, the stone house specifically, the root cellar and the well, we want to make sure are open to the public so that way they can learn. There's also historical markers you can put out, and we can do events as well, especially since we'll be headquartered there. We can hold events on the property too to make sure that the community is able to engage in it. And when we're looking at tenants too, we want to make sure that we have something that is perfect for your community, essentially.
And you rightfully request or suggest that we need to rezone that to Evansburg Village Commercial
Correct.
in order for you to do that. But do you have any thoughts or plans on the other part of the 4 acres of any other new construction, or is it going to remain the way it is?
No, we have no plans to change the property, just to renovate the property.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
A couple of quick things, if I can just rattle
Sure.
through them. As I was reading through your notes, who from the township visited this site in February? Do we know that? Okay.
Yes.
Who was it? Okay. Okay. But you went to, so you have an understanding of the condition of the property now?
I do. And I did not see the raccoon, but I did see evidence of the raccoon, for sure. And I think, Peter, just anecdotally, I think it's more some roof and some leakage that is the major issue today. I thought the balance of the structure was in pretty good shape. You know, the beams, the basement all look pretty solid.
Electrical and
Oh,
plumbing?
well, it needs some new electric, but
It has not been hooked up. The last time it was inspected was 2013.
Right.
Yeah, well, it probably doesn't meet code, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay,
Listen,
no, I
there's a
understand
lot
that.
of Good electric stuff. And there was a lot of work done previously by the Historical Society, I do
Right.
believe. Like the pillars put in the basement for stabilization purposes, the inspector that we used said it looked great.
Make sure you include Peter when y'all doing the renovation.
Just sorry, I'm just thumbing through some
No,
of my
that's
notes.
okay.
And so you have not identified when I look at the renovation work, which is necessary and will be somewhat expensive, I don't know that a general contractor could do that correctly. Wouldn't that need someone who's familiar with an older structure and used to working with that kind of thing?
Well, our board members are actually contractors, but
okay.
we do have through the Historical Society.
Yeah, we have a lot of
Yeah.
carpentry, masonry.
Right.
We have a lot of contacts from like Lancaster County, the Plain community as well.
Right.
Right. So that are familiar with working on those types of buildings.
And I don't know if you've seen the work that they've done at a historic trap over there. They've been rehabilitating those buildings. So we utilize a lot of the same folks in the community as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
And that's part of that piece that we'd like to pass that kind of skill down to the students as well. So we're kind of excited about them to learn that, the particulars of working in a historic structure.
Okay. Thanks, I wish you well, and I hope we can get this thing going, and I hope we can get it funded. That'd be
Okay,
great.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions?
Just invite us to the party.
Okay, yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, just to kind of talk about what the next steps in this are, and just, I'm going to correct you on one thing, Sam, but I think it's a good correction. I would argue that we already have an existing partnership between when we're looking to kind of take that partnership to the next level. So basically, we are in the process of putting together a lease agreement that will ultimately come back to the board for approval. It'll be, shared with the Jaybird Foundation and reviewed. Likely go through an iterative process, but we're kind of targeting sometime in the first quarter of 2026 to get that before the board, so we can give them more reins to the property to kind of continue this process and take it to the next level. So that's the plan moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay for the rest. There's always excitement at the end. But thank y'all. Have a good evening. Next up is the consent agenda. I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the business meeting on November 20th, acceptance of phasing update for Shannondale Phase 4, and then there's two escrow releases. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Any board comment?
Yeah, can you explain the escrow releases for Shenandoah Phase 4?
Yes.
I can. So the Shannondale Phase 4 is not an escrow release.
That's not, yeah.
Okay.
that's-
Yeah.
I thought I,
No, it's the acceptance of phasing update for Shannondale Phase 4. Yeah, the escrow releases are for Village at Esky Park, and then there's an escrow cleanup from 23 escrow releases. And that should be in your packet.
Yeah, we usually do that cleanup, I think, once a year, and it's essentially completed developments or projects that we're still holding a small amount of escrows for. Rich can speak to it more if there's more specific questions, but we kind of do a cleanup once a year
I
to
think
release.
Peter, you had a question.
Well, not on the escrow, but coming back to the Shannondale phasing, if just quickly overview, EJ, as to what that is and why we do that.
Sure.
It's, it's a decades-long project here.
Yeah, so the Shannondale development received the initial preliminary approval in 1999. It's a multi-phase project, as you're all aware of. There are some provisions in the MPC, the Municipalities Planning Code, that kind of requires an annual update be provided. if it's phased beyond a 5-year period. So it's actually a legal requirement of the developer, which in this case is Audubon Land Development, that they have to provide us an annual update of kind of their phasing, timing, and plans. So we get this every year, pretty much at the same time. So the phasing update that we received is for Shenandoah Phase 4. They anticipate to be completed, or at least have final plans submitted on or before December 31st, 2038.
And they are in construction in Phase 3 now, correct?
That's correct.
So Phase 4 is not yet being discussed in terms of its construction.
That's correct.
Thank you.
So we're just accepting their update of the date?
Yeah, the MPC doesn't actually require any action from the board on this, but to have it on the public record, it's good to put it on an agenda so it can be recognized.
And then with the different one, the escrow at Church Road, what was done that calls for that?
Yeah, thanks, Gary. That's been a long process this past summer. The contractor, for whatever reason, was moving very slowly. But thankfully, they have the roads paved, the widening of Church Road completed, the trenches restored. So the vast majority of the money we're releasing back to them is for that road paving.
Any other board comments? Okay,
Sorry, just one.
okay.
So we have a long list of escrow releases that are small amounts. Are these just cleanups from people that never came and asked for their money? Is that what this is?
It's a combination of those or projects that originally started the approval process but never received final approval, but, had deposited the required escrow and never, like the one that I'm seeing, the Brightview, that was for the plan that they came in several years ago for kind of this like electrification project that they wanted to do. They ultimately ended up abandoning that project. They never got final approval. But some of the other ones are projects that just were completed and they never asked for the remaining balance back.
Okay, thanks. And that DeLuca Brothers, is that, that's
The ones that say Lot 12 and Lot 4?
Crawford? That, not Crawford, but behind Crawford Road, is that what that is?
I don't know what that one is.
DeLuca?
That's
The
not
development
DeLuca.
that's behind Crawford, I can't remember the little road that goes
Yeah,
in there.
Morton Road, Peter,
Yeah.
I don't believe
That's in Durco.
Yeah. Is DeLuca off a level road?
No. Yeah, guys, I'm not sure I'm familiar with the Luca Brothers
Okay.
lots
That-
12 and lots 4.
That wasn't really what I was asking, though. Is the Borton Road complete, or is there still escrow money held on that?
Still escrow money held on that.
What's the anniversary of that?
Good
Fixed?
question. Yeah, no. So we've actually had conversations about Borton Road with the developer and with Lauren, actually, over a month or so ago. There is a couple of obligations they have left. We did a punch list for them about a year ago. 90% of that punch list is complete, but there are a handful of items that still remain, and we have had discussions among staff as to what to do about completing that project. We have not accepted dedication of the road yet, and so that's, especially as we come into wintertime, who's plowing the snow, what's happening, and the residents have been asking those questions of us. I'm not sure we have a great answer for them today, but it is something that is high on our radar, and we're trying to push forward to get our developer to complete his punch list and dedicate that cul-de-sac section of Borton. Yeah.
At this point, then, the township is not obligated to plow that cul-de-sac.
That is correct. Recall that Borton was an existing street. It dead-ended in a blunt end. The developer extended and built a cul-de-sac. And so the first section, the older section, is dedicated to our public street. We plow and maintain that roadway. But the extension and the cul-de-sac itself is still privately held, and we are not obligated to plow.
So we're gonna plow Borton and leave it at the end of the cul-de-sac in a pile?
I doubt it, but.
Thanks.
All right.
I know what Joe's gonna do.
Okay, great. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carries. Next, old business. We're moving on to the municipal complex updates, and we have several visitors here, guest speakers. So the first one is about the award of 800 Adams Avenue renovation bids and authorization of township manager to execute all contract documents, subject to solicitor's final legal review. So Chris Haller is here from Boyle Construction. He has a brief presentation before the Board of Supervisors votes on the bid awards. The votes will need to be specified which bid alternatives are being selected if different than Boyle's recommendation. And those alternatives were provided in an email prior to this meeting.
Thank
Chris,
you.
go ahead.
Good seeing everybody
Good
again.
to see you.
So I'll make this short as I can, depending on the questions. But I think the bid results were very good. We had very competitive numbers for this. And I think the township should be very pleased with not just the numbers we got, but the contractors that were the apparent low bidders. I only say apparent because it still has to go through the final review of the municipality's solicitor. So with that said, if we could go to the next slide. So I know this is kind of hard to see, and I'll get into what the alternates were and what the recommendations are after I go through what the five prime bids were. But you can see we had 9 general contractors provide numbers, and with the recommended alternate bids, Gordon Baver is the apparent low bidder. And I should say, if some of these alternates that are being recommended are not selected by the supervisors tonight, the low bidders, I don't think change. So Gordon Baver is the low bidder for the GC work, pending approval by the township. Next, we had 3 contractors for the fire protection, and Anchor Fire, thank you. Anchor Fire is the apparent low bidder with the recommended alternate bids. Next. For the mechanical, we had 8 contractors submit proposals, and Hirschberg Mechanical is the apparent low for the mechanical contract. Plumbing, Hirschberg again is the apparent low bidder for the plumbing contract. And then on electrical, we had 7 bidders, and Shipsy is the apparent low bidder for electrical. Now, what I'd like to do is kind of walk you through what the alternate bids were. So we kind of put this together, and the right-hand column shows you the total impact for what each alternate is. So alternate number 1, within the contract, each contractor owns a 1-year warranty on the work from the date of substantial completion, 1 year out. We asked them to give us a price to make that 1-year warranty a 2-year warranty. And you can see the total impact between the 5 primes is only $21,440. Now that doesn't negate any warranties you have with equipment or products or anything like that. It's just that the contractor has a 1-year warranty per specifications. And for $21,000, all 5 contractors will give you a 2-year warranty from the date of substantial completion. The only thing it doesn't include is any landscaping, but the landscaping with this project is really just mulch beds. So, but if there were trees and shrubs, they're not going to guarantee those for 2 years. Number 2 was to remove the ramp and the concrete landing at the back of the building. The concrete is in disrepair. The railing is starting to rust, and some of the concrete where the railing posts go down into the concrete is falling apart. It's not required by ADA, and it's not going to be a public entrance anymore. It's strictly a police department entrance or whoever parks in the gated area in back of the building. So we're recommending you take that alternate to remove that ramp at the back of the building, and that is $13,000. And that would be replaced with a mulch bed instead. The next one is the sidewalk along the front of the building. There are about 8 handicap park, when you're looking at the main entrance, to the left of that, there are about 8 handicap parking spaces. And right now, there's no means for someone to get up onto the sidewalk from those handicap parking spaces. They go down along the spaces in the paving, and at the main entrance to the building is where the curb cut is for the ramp to get onto the sidewalk and into the building. In lieu of taking that sidewalk out and replacing it, still not being accessible for anyone with ADA issues, we said we're going to leave the curb there to stop the cars, but take that sidewalk out and just make it a mulch bed. It's not changing anything as far as how handicapped people access the building, because again, there was no way for them to actually access that sidewalk. So number 4 is the curb that comes out, and the sidewalk and the ADA ramp at the main entrance. The curb there is spalling a little bit. Some of the concrete is breaking up. Thinking that this is the main entrance to your new facility, we said, let's take that out and put it back in the same location. Let's just make it new, though. So it's not the first thing that people see coming into your new facility isn't a broken sidewalk. So that's why we're recommending that alternate bid be done. The next one, just broke my pen. The next one is to provide sod in lieu of grass seed wherever we're redoing lawns. We recommend that one because it just gets you grass sooner. You're not dealing with mud for as long. A lot of times what we'll do is put orange snow fence up to kind of keep people off of lawn areas while lawns are being established. Putting the sod in gives you the ability to get a grass area sooner.
Can I ask a quick question about the sod?
Sure.
From what I can remember, there's not much grassy area except near the old tree, right?
Right, pretty much out and back.
Okay. So, if this is gonna be done like later on, I can't even see what the cost is.
$6,400.
Okay,
And we would make sure it's done in the planting season. It's not going to be
Right.
the last thing that's done.
right, okay. Right.
And I have one quick question on number 3 before we get too far from it.
Sure.
Removing the sidewalk and putting landscaping in, and I'm not able to visualize, what exactly we're talking about. But would that sidewalk, and if it was taken out, would that mean that cars that are in the non-handicap spots, like nearby, would have to walk through the, the parking lot as opposed to the sidewalk? Or are there no other parking spots there?
So the whole area is is handicap parking. There are
see.
no non-handicap parking spaces along that sidewalk.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Number 6 is to provide 2 level 2 vehicle charging stations. And they would be located, again, as you're looking at the main entrance to the building, all the way to the right side, kind of out of the way from the other parking areas. So the base bid is to provide conduit out there with some pull strings. If you decide not to do this one, you at least have the pathway, so if you ever want to do it in the future, it's there. But we figured because bids came in so well, and for $15,000, we thought that was a very fair, good number for the 2 charging stations. We're recommending that you do it now with the project.
I'm sorry, you said the conduit going to those locations is part of this price or not?
It is. So if you chose not to do this, the conduit is part of the base bid.
Part of the base?
Yes.
Okay, and
So
so these,
the conduit and the pull strings through those conduits are going in no matter what you choose. The alternate is to provide the charging stations and the power for that.
and what types of charging stations are these? Are they high-speed, are they Tesla, are they,
They're level 2. I don't know the exact, what that exactly means. But I guess there's 3.
Gary can probably.
Okay.
Yeah, level 2. Level 2 will charge a car up fully in about 8 hours, as opposed to a supercharger might do it in 30 minutes. So this is like a standard charger that you would have in your garage. So it's a good size for this.
so I won't stay on this, but, so the township is going to have a revenue stream from this? Is that what we're planning on? We're gonna have a credit card to charge people for charging? Have we discussed that at all?
That has not been discussed at the moment.
I think that can be figured out later.
But we can discuss that
It's just a
later.
concept question, though. It is going to be,
Yeah, I
Okay.
think when we started with this the municipal complex, we did discuss having EV charging stations here for public use, and that would have been charged. So I think, we've been talking about this for a year or so.
yeah. And I heard it and agreed all the way along, and I've always wondered why we just didn't let somebody lease the space and put them in themselves, so we didn't have the maintenance cost and the revenue issues to deal with, that's all.
Carry on, sorry.
Nope, that's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Number 7 was a deduct. So along the back of the property, there's an existing wooden fence, and that wooden fence, about a third of it is actually falling down. So the base bid includes removing that fence and rebuilding it. It's about a 6-foot high privacy fence. We asked them for a deduct price to take that out of the contract to see what that number was, because we thought that's something that's easy enough for Public Works to also do. But we're saying for $3,000, let's keep it in the contract and not put that burden on your Public Works team. So we're recommending you to not accept the deduct of $3,000 for number 7.
And is that the color code for the rest of them?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So number 8 was a flooring system, like a sealant over top of the concrete. The base bid was to just do sealed concrete floors in the corrections area. That's the holding cells, the toilet rooms, some interview rooms, the general open area back by the new Sally Port. So base bid was to just do sealed concrete. This is to do a Sherwin-Williams correctional flooring system in that area. Again, we're recommending to do that as well.
Sorry for so many questions. What is that? What is correctional flooring? Is it padded or something?
It's not padded. It's just the best way I can explain it is like the system you would put down like an engine bay for like a fire station. It's just a very durable floor finish that's hard to beat up. It's not padded or anything. When someone hits the floor, it's going to hurt as much as if they're falling on concrete. And they fall. They don't get thrown.
But they won't scuff it up when they fall if you have this.
No, it's a durable product.
Just one question. Is that common for police or law enforcement area?
Yeah, I mean, it's a product that's actually
Yeah, that's what it sounds
designed
like.
for that.
Okay. It's just a lot of money, but
So
if it's standard, I guess.
that's what sort of threw me with it,
Yeah.
was
Bigger than the other numbers.
if it had some extra function, like how bad can you mess up concrete as opposed to having a $16,000 coating on it?
You're not going to mess up concrete. It's visual, it's durable, but certainly if you don't want to accept this one and keep the sealed concrete, that's absolutely fine.
Square feet is this? Roughly.
If I had to guesstimate, I don't know the actual number off the top of my head, but if I had to guesstimate, maybe around 1,500 to maybe
1,500, so-
2,000 square feet.
Just for the entire
The entire back.
processing area?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's probably,
1,500
Well,
to
call
2,000
it
square feet.
1,600 for the math, because then it's $1 a square foot, right?
Yeah.
Who did the math? Go ahead.
Number 9 is to provide a floor acoustic treatment. It's in that area, but it's on the second floor above there. So it's an acoustic treatment that helps deaden the sound of the people that are in the processing area for the people that are working above it. So if you get someone in the cells that's screaming a lot, this system helps deaden that sound for the people that are working above it. And it's just in the holding cell area. It's not the whole second floor.
That one makes sense to me. It seems necessary.
Number 10, if you could, that's an electrical cost. That's to provide a lightning protection system for the building. We recommend that one because this is going to be your administration building and police station. We want to protect the equipment that's going into that building, so putting a lightning protection system, which is basically on the roof of the building, a bunch of short rods, maybe about a foot high, that come around and they tie into the building structure. So it's like the building becomes one big grounding wire, so that it helps protect the equipment and everything that's inside the building.
Nothing in place in that building now for that?
No. It was an office building. Number 11, so one of the things we looked at is, if you remember the whole process, we were looking at making, as you come in the front entrance, the back right corner was originally going to be looked at as the meeting room for the board. And over the course of the project, that location shifted. And we said, let's take a look at that space and what would it cost to make it like one big open box, so that you had it, if you ever wanted to have another tenant there, wanted to use it as one large open space, you would have it. We're recommending that you don't take this alternate because through the course of we got towards the end of the project, one of the discussions that we were having with your administration was that Union Pacific might be able to locate in there. And we don't think it makes sense to take that space and make it one big open area, just to move Union Pacific in and rebuild it. There are allowances, which I'm going to get to after this, built into the project to address that. And we also think that Union Pacific can use that space almost exactly the way it's laid out. So we don't recommend spending the money to make it a big open space when you might just be building it back in the exact shape that it's in right now. 12A, 12B, and 12C were to remove and replace the window shades with manual shades. 12A was for the first and second floor of the police station. 12B is for the administration area. And 12C was for the meeting room and the caucus room around that front side and around the corner. So we're recommending 12A and 12B for the building, but we're not recommending taking the alternate for the meeting room, because alternate number 13 was to do the meeting room with electric shades in lieu of manual shades. So 12C and 13 are an either or neither. But you wouldn't accept both 12C and 13. So we're recommending 13 for the electric shades, and again, it's just the meeting room and the caucus room in that corner. 14 was for the bullet resistant construction along the front of the board table. 15 was to do an epoxy sealant in the sally port versus sealed concrete. But that one is, along with the discussion on the floor of the processing area, it's not an alternate you have to take, or sealed concrete is a fond product. This just gives it another layer of protection and cleans it up a little bit. So those are the alternate bids, open for discussion. Right now we are developing intent to award letters, and should the board authorize low bids along with the selected alternates tonight, we would issue those intent to award letters tomorrow. And those intent to award letters are not locking you in. It's just telling the contractors, you're the apparent low bidder, get your insurance, get the contract, get all your paperwork in order, and get it into this, so that we can have the solicitor take another look at things, and then we can move forward with signing the contracts.
I have one question on number 14.
Yes.
Is that just like below the high strength Diaz, or is it like some sort of something that would block us from?
So it is what you're looking at the front of the Diaz here.
Okay.
There would be something built in. You wouldn't see it because
Right.
it's going to be behind the finish, but it goes from end to end of the Diaz.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Just to go back to number 8 real quick, the Sherwin-Williams correctional flooring. I did read about it a little bit more, so this makes sense. It says it's really for correctional facilities to create a safer, more hygienic environment, so how it's made, and it doesn't allow any leakage or grout lines, so it makes more sense if anybody in the public or in the room actually looks up the purpose of it.
Like with the sealed concrete floor, I mean, you're guaranteed a couple things with concrete.
Yeah.
One of those things is you're guaranteed it's gonna crack. No matter how many joints you put into it to not crack it, it's gonna crack. A sealed concrete floor, you're gonna see those cracks. So this product, you get those cracks, you treat those cracks like you would with terrazzo or anything else, and then this product is put down over top of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Any other questions for Chris?
Just
any other
one
questions
clarification.
on the alternates?
So I just, one clarification point for the board. When we discussed at the previous meeting kind of the overall project cost, that was assuming all, these alternates were included in that. So basically what we discussed previously as the cost of the renovation work would not be increased by selecting these based on Boyle's recommendations.
So if you
So-
could go to the next slide.
Any of these that you decide not to do is going to reduce the project cost that we kind of already discussed at the last meeting.
No, yeah, that one. So this estimate, comparing it from the budget to the actual bids, does identify all the alternates that were in green are included in this number.
I mean, one thing I'd like to do real quick, just maybe talk about the bullet resistant supervisor's desk. I mean, is that common now, or what do you see? in
Unfortunately, it's
construction?
becoming common.
Yeah. Like, I want to say we probably don't need it, but
It is becoming more and more common, and
exactly.
it's,
The Wild Wild West out there right now.
yeah.
I mean, the one thing I would say from a cost perspective, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
To do it after the fact, it's going to cost significantly. You have the opportunity to do it now. I think the only other time you would do it, unfortunately, if not now, would be after an incident occurs. Because it's going to
Bullet
cost a lot
resistant.
more to just do it as a standalone.
Bullet resistant, Diaz, transition windows, I mean, it's becoming more and more common, unfortunately.
Okay.
And with some of the rhetoric that's out there, I think would be remiss to not.
We'll just have the chief sit up here with us.
He's running.
He's at the door.
Just on this budget summary slide, can you just talk a bit about your thoughts on why the general electrical contract bids came in so far under the estimates?
When we do estimates, we tend to be very conservative with our numbers. I would rather come into this meeting and tell you that the bids came in under our estimate than walk in here and tell you the bids came in over our estimate. So as we work through this, we were developing numbers based on what we saw in real time, and we confirmed some of those with other contractors that we've dealt with both on the private side and on the public side. So I think it's a good sign. Again, you had very competitive numbers. The number of contractors that you had interested in this work was very good. Some of them told us they were very aggressive with their numbers, because the nice thing with this project is it's 95% inside work. So it gives their crew something to do through the cold months. A lot of times with construction projects, if you have outside work, the work slows down in the winter. This keeps their guys busy during the winter.
One thing I would say is that one of the bids that came in was approximately $400,000 higher than your estimate. So
You always get those outliers.
some came in higher. Another one came in like 200 higher, and then a couple came in right around, and this one came in well under.
And we did vet them. We made sure that, they have, I believe, 48 hours to withdraw their bid. So as soon as we got bids that day, we're calling them saying, hey, you were apparent low bid. your number's a lot lower than we estimated. Do you have this in your number? Do you have this in your number? Is that included? Are you comfortable with your number? Because if not, tell us now, because in a day and a half, you don't get to tell us. So we do that vetting right away.
Supervisor Knight, which bid were you referring to that came in 400 over what they estimated?
Which contract?
That they weren't the low bidder though.
No, they weren't.
Oh.
I'm saying the spectrum of bids.
Oh, I gotcha.
Came in higher. No, I got you. But to Supervisor McFarland's point, do you have any concerns with the one that came in low based on your experience with that specific vendor that they tried to come back with change orders?
We went through their paperwork. We went through with them their schedule of values. Everything that's in the project is included in their number. They were just very aggressive with it to keep their guys working.
To follow up on that, because that's what I was getting to. The electrical bid, you had a 2.8 million, a 2.7 million, a 2.4 million, and the winning bid was under 2 million. So, I mean, if you're an electrical contractor, you're making some very poor judgments here on what the actual cost is, either high or low, to be that far apart, I would think.
It's not uncommon to see the outliers being that high and being that low. You just need to verify the one that's that low, that they have all the work included. So that's their price. They're good with it. We hold their feet to the fire, and that's what they do. They own everything that's in the documents.
And I do see there's two here that are within about 5 or 10% of the low bid.
Yeah.
And then some were higher, so.
The ones that are higher, I'm not sure how they stay in business, but could be.
Any other questions in regards to the alternates or anything like that?
So I do have one other thing I do want to go through with
Perfect.
you.
Okay.
I had mentioned on that back right corner where I recommended not accepting that alternate bid, and that there are allowances built into the project. I'm just going to hand these out quick, then I'll talk. So again, these numbers are in each contract. So the numbers that we looked at before do not change with this discussion. But we had allowances built into each of the prime contracts. Allowances, if they're not spent, that's not free money for the contractor. At the end of the project, if the allowances aren't spent, we do deduct change orders to remove that money from their contracts. So with each contract, we had what we call an owner's contingency allowance. So there's just a pot of money that we told them to include their number. All the contractors included the same amount, and that's for something that might come up that's unforeseen. As we start doing the demo, we might find something that's unforeseen. The underground, the underslab sanitary line might not be where they told us it is, or it might be deeper than what we anticipated. So that owner's contingency is to deal with those things. The next one was to do a marquee site sign. So we located it where we think it would go, but it's not designed, so we have money in the GC's project and in the electrical contractor's project to put a marquee sign out in front of the building. Exterior building sign, that's money set aside to put a sign on the building itself. Floor substrate and prepping, that one's a difficult one to quantify. So when they go in and they take the old floor out, there are times where they have to come in with a leveling coat to make it smooth again for the new flooring going in. If you don't do that, sometimes, depending on what the new floor is, those imperfections telegraph through the floor system. So that's to provide a leveling coat in areas where it's needed. The tenant relocation, that was the one I was talking about earlier. So when we developed the bid forms, it was anticipated that Union Pacific might be moving up to the 3rd floor, where there was much more fit out needed than if they moved to the other corner of the 1st floor. So the tenant relocation allowance was to move Union Pacific. So no matter where they move, that's the pot of money that would be used to address their needs. And then the last one here, the dry system sprinkler system. There were some, there were some issues that came up as we were getting ready to receive bids with the dry pipe system that's up on the 3rd floor. We included money in the project as an allowance to deal with those issues because we didn't have time to really do a design to address that issue. So these are all in the contracts. It doesn't change the numbers that we talked about before unless we don't use all this, in which case money's taken out of their I don't want to say it's given back to you because it's never really been theirs to begin with, but it's given back to you as a deduct change order.
Just to make sure I followed you correctly, just using the electrical contractor as an example, are you saying that each of the electrical contractors included that total amount of 140 in their bids because you gave them that number?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
These are numbers that were, as you explained, put in as allowances. You're not really certain of what the actual cost will be when this is, you're assuming, as you spoke earlier, that you did this very conservatively, so that if this work has to be done, it should not exceed these numbers?
That is the anticipation, yes. We did, when we looked at, like, I'll use the tenant relocation one. That's outside of just the owner's contingency, which is just a fund set aside. It's not for something specific. The tenant relocation one for $185,000. We looked at what that 3rd floor would take as far as what spaces could be reused, what spaces would have to be built, egress out of the space. You know, they'd have to build another wall to make sure that a door was provided so the space had 2 means of egress. Lighting would have to be modified. They would need a kitchenette, so we'd have to put a kitchen up in there, a small kitchen up in there. Depending on what we do with walls, the sprinkler system would have to be modified. So we thought through the process of what would need to be done and applied a square foot number to that and then separated it out between the 5 primes.
And that was the assumption of going to the 3rd floor?
Yes.
So it's not, or at least we hope it's not.
Going to the back corner of the 1st floor should be less than that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And then would Boyle be managing the allocation or the expenditure of these funds?
Absolutely.
Then would you report back to us on this, or you're just going to
So
do
it's-
it using your best judgment and work with EJ?
We will work with EJ and Paul, but Boyle Construction does not have the authority unless you give us the authority to spend 1 penny of your money. So any work that comes in, we will vet it, we make sure it's a fair price, but then we have to go to EJ and Paul and say, our recommendation is to approve this, and your administration is the one that approves the actual expenditure of it. We don't come to you with the change order and say, here, we already approved it.
Right. And you're talking, with that process, you're talking about these numbers right here.
Those numbers, anything that comes up.
Okay.
If there's something, if there's additional cost to anything, whether it's an add or a deduct, we vet it, we bring it to the administration approves that expenditure.
Typically, for any major capital projects, our process is that when we normally don't have a construction manager because we don't do projects of this scale, but when we get payment requests from the contractors, it comes to the board for approval. We kind of almost have an extra layer here. Boyle reviews it, Paul and I will review it, and then final approval will
And that's
come
even
forward.
with the pay applications.
The payment applications, yeah, that's what
We will
yeah.
review the payment applications, make sure the contractors are being fair with their request. That'll come to your administration with a recommendation for payment.
And change orders, since it is a change from the contract and only the board can enter into that contract, only the board can alter that contract. So change orders will need to come before the board. Sometimes on a project of this size, the Board of Supervisors will give the manager and the assistant manager, sometimes with one board member being on that team, to approve change orders under a certain dollar amount if they're relatively minor in nature. Now, we meet twice a month, so there's only going to be a 2-week gap at any time. But sometimes there's things that need to be made a decision right there, and it may be only $6,000 or $7,000. But if it's anything significant, then it would have to come to the board for approval.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chris? You good?
Dr. Darby, if I could take just a moment, just to comment on the, in particular, the flooring for the
Okay.
holding cell
Sure.
and the sally port.
Please explain more.
Yes. So not only is it a more professional look, it serves a bigger purpose, and that is it's more slip resistant than finished concrete. As you know, as you can imagine, bringing people into that environment, they're not always the most cooperative. So you have a tendency the potential for slipping and falling is greater in that type of environment. That's really the main purpose for that type of flooring. So
Understood. Thank you.
to reduce injury.
Yes. And less liability. Anything else? No good? Okay, so now we have to vote on every single contract now. Before I start the votes, any questions in regards to the alternates? Are we accepting or deleting any of these before I start with the motions?
My recommendation would be to go with the alternates as proposed.
Okay, that's what I need to understand. Okay.
I'd like to take item 6 separately.
Item number, sorry.
The
The
charging
charging
station.
station? Okay, all right. So that is under which, general electric?
General
And electric, right?
No, just electric.
Well, it's
So-
general also, they put $0 in,
Oh, okay,
so that would still have to be approved.
okay.
If,
Just so they know whether they're doing it or not.
Well,
charge us
just
anything.
to be clear, the conduit is part of the base bid.
The conduit's
So
in
we're
no
not-
matter what.
That's not separated out as a result of the request to remove number
Correct.
6. Okay,
the
thank you.
conduit and a pull string to pull the wires through that go in no matter what your decision is on number 6.
Do we need further discussion on number 6, Peter? Supervisor McFarland?
No, I would just say that I don't know why the township would be spending money to install these when we have third parties that are nationwide that have networks that maintain them themselves and would cost us nothing. They would pay us some nominal lease payment, but I don't, instead of us spending $15,000 and then hoping to recover that at some point through credit card charges. Leasing seems like a better alternative.
I'm not an expert in knowing the leasing, how much it will cost the township to do that. So I don't know if y'all looked into that or, yeah, I don't know.
The township would pay, my assumption would be the township would pay nothing. The leaser would pay us to have the right to put their unit there. So we would get some monthly number in lieu of them using it. They would put their own equipment on the ground.
I don't know much about that,
And
so,
it would be in a network, national network that others with electric cars could see, which if we do it on our own, they won't see it.
I mean, I have some knowledge of this. I would lean towards including it. One, it serves the greater public purpose of helping us decarbonize and reduce the amount of fossil fuels we use. But purely from a installation standpoint and everything, I think it's going to be, we'll have a completed project. We won't have the second phase, and it's cheaper to do it while we have, everything going on in the project. So for those reasons, I would advocate for putting it in.
and I don't know how much it'll be for maintenance, annually or, do y'all know or? I mean,
I'm not
probably the
sure.
contractor would know best. You know, because we're paying for the structure, correct?
Yep.
The structure, and we'll probably have to get like a maintenance plan or something like that. And then, the public use will be paying into that, correct? Is that,
It's really up to you all. But that had,
yeah,
It's a decision we would make.
yeah.
It's a decision
yeah,
you wanna
later
make,
on,
yeah.
later on. Okay, all right. All right, so we're still capable of making some revenue off of that, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Any other discussion about alternate number 6? Okay, all right. So move on with voting.
and I just want to, I know you already stated it once, Madam Chair, but I think since we had a long discussion, all of the contract awards also include the authorization for the township manager to execute the final contract documents pending final legal review. So these are all essentially conditional contract awards.
Right.
And if you are intending to award them with all of the alternates as recommended by Boyle, then you can just state that. You don't need to go through all the alternates individually. Say, as recommended by Boyle.
Okay, great. Okay, great. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the general contractor contract going to Gordon H. Baver Incorporated with the alternates as stated by Boyle Construction. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any public comment? Any board comment?
Are we not separating item 6? Is that what we're doing?
That is correct. I was trying to have the discussion now, you know, so.
I just wanted to separate it because I wanted to vote no on that item only instead of no on everything.
Okay, so, can you, just a question, if I may, can I ask a question?
You certainly can.
Okay, so with the, alternate 6, you stated that the general contractor has a part and also the electrical contractor has a part to play
Correct.
with that.
Correct.
Okay, so if, Solicitor, can you explain how to separate this out from both of these?
So we have a motion and we have a second.
Right,
Supervisor McFarland is asking for an amendment to the motion.
okay,
And so that amendment to the motion would need a second as well.
okay,
If the motion to amend the original motion fails, or the person who made the motion doesn't accept it,
Okay.
then it remains as is to
Okay.
accept, award to Gordon H. Baver as is. And we understand, I understand, I think we all do, what Supervisor McFarland wants to vote no on one particular aspect of this, but he needs to there needs to be an amendment to your motion.
okay.
So Supervisor McFarland, you're making a motion to amend.
To amend and separate alternate number 6 only from the rest of the motion.
And Chair Darby, are you accepting that amendment?
I'm not seconding it, no.
You're not accepting the amendment?
No, I'm not.
And okay, so we don't need to move on to, so is there anyone who wants to second Supervisor McFarland's motion to put this to a vote? Hearing no second, the original motion on the floor stands.
All right, any further board comment? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fire protection contractor, Anchor Fire Protection Company, and all the alternates as stated by Boyle Construction. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any public comment? Any further board comment? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next is motion to approve the plumbing contractor, Hirschberg Mechanical. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Public comment? Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next is, I'd like to make a motion to approve the mechanical contractor, Hirschberg Mechanical, and all the alternates as stated by Boyle Construction. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
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 No.
Opposed? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the electrical contractor Shipsy, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Shipsy Electric LLC, and all alternates as proposed by Boyle Construction. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Hope everyone has a wonderful holiday.
You do the same.
Thank you.
Next up is the consideration of ordinance number 692, which is the authorization for borrowing. Chris Gibbons, welcome back, has a brief presentation of the bond auction results before voting on this ordinance. So I think you gave us a packet here.
I did, yes.
Okay, all right.
A
If
quick
you-
overview.
You want to
Sorry.
take it away?
Okay, thank you. A quick overview is that on your November 6th meeting, we examined bank loan, bond issue, and Del Val pool financing. At that point, bond issue financing was the most cost-effective, so we moved toward a competitive bid that was held this morning. The competitive bid was between 11 o'clock and 11:17. I say 11:17 because it specifically went over to an extra bidding period because of the intense bidding that went on during the process, which obviously reduced your borrowing costs. I'm really on page, right there, that Paul has it up, page 1, where it shows the summary of all the underwriters' final proposals, their interest rates. And I think it's also important to note, you can see on the placeholders, the bidders, that they were from across the country. So we had a wide exposure to your moment in the bond market today. From the time the first bid came in to the last bid, interest rates went down enough to actually save the township approximately $130,000 in interest cost. So it was a result of, I think, a lot of factors, not the least of which was your credit rating. A AA2 is a solid rating. The amount of supply of debt outstanding for underwriters to underwrite today was a good time. It wasn't that much for the type of credit you were offering. So what is before you then is an ordinance to enact using the FHN financial bid at 4.123%. You can see I went out to 3 digits when I just said that because the second place is at 4.127%. So it's important that we take it out that many decimal places. The next page shows you the total sources and uses of the borrowing. In this case, the total amount of the borrowing would be $7,970,000. Other sources are premium, which is a part of the bid that was submitted by FHN Financial. It's bond premium, so they actually will pay you in excess of the $7.97 million of bonds. Interest during construction, the money will be invested, and I assumed a rate of 2%. I think you can get a better rate of 2% between now and when you actually spend it, of $63,000, plus you have a grant in place. So the uses are building renovation, building renovation related to the grant, the underwriter's discount, which is is the commission that's paid to FHN Financial as part of their bid, costs of issuance that are further underlined or outlined on the bottom of the page as well. The next page then is the total debt service payments for the proposed general obligation bonds, series of 2026. I think what you care about is, first of all, the total amount of borrowing is 7.97. You might recall we were talking about an amount between $8 million and $12 million when I was here last. Now we're at, as a result of the bids, we're at a much lower number. The annual debt service cost of this project will be approximately $480,000. So when added to, and that's column 10. So when added, column 10 and 11 together, with the borrowing we did earlier in the year, the total annual debt service will be approximately $1.2 million. That number is pretty close to what we discussed in the spring. That number is about $42,000 more annual debt service than what we had as projections. And it's important to note that interest rates actually increased by about 0.5% since that point. So borrowing less money at this time was a better thing for you. That's the quick overview. I'm open for questions.
I have one question, just trying to understand Schedule A. I don't know if you put this together that's in the ordinance or not.
I think that, I can't exactly see what you said, but I think we changed that Schedule A.
Okay. And I just see that the offering price was, reoffering price as a percentage of par was like 104.046%.
Yes, I can
You
discuss
can
that.
explain what that all
Yeah,
means?
essentially, a purchaser of the bonds, in this case FHN Financial, is willing to pay a price higher than 100% of the face value of the bonds to actually get a lower rate of return.
So it had like a face value of $25 or something, and they paid 25.5.
Exactly, yes, yep.
And I'm sorry, I left Pat out, the bond counsel, so. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't on purpose. I thought you were a friend. Yeah, so, welcome. I don't know if you have anything else to add and everything. Come to the
Microphone, sorry,
mic.
Pat. Yeah.
Chris, don't go away.
Thank you for recognizing me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
with
I
Obermeyer.
apologize.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I'm with Obermeyer, Redmond, Maxwell, Hippel. We are bond counsel to the township, and our firm's the author of the ordinance. And effectively, all that's really happening here is, and this ordinance is very similar to the one that was adopted last year for the acquisition of the property. It just incorporates, the ordinance will approve the incurrence of debt through the issuance of bonds. It'll incorporate the terms of the sale that occurred today, assuming that it's approved. And then it authorizes us to file an application with DCED, the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, to establish that this borrowing is within the limitations of the law. And that's effectively it. So if the board is inclined to accept the financing proposal, I would recommend adopting the ordinance so that we can undertake to put the financing in place.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions for Chris and Pat? Show. Okay, great. Thank you all so much for participating. I've never seen that happen. I know we did it before, but it happened, what, in like 5 minutes? 1 minute? 2 minutes? I don't know.
The
2-minute
last,
segments, how's that?
What's that?
Yeah, 2-minute segments.
Oh,
How's
wow.
that?
Okay, okay.
I think it was
okay.
about 9 minutes in until the first bid came in, and then it was pretty rapid fire.
It was,
for-
yeah,
Oh,
As you
wow.
can see from that summary, we had 36 different bids.
Yeah,
in that very
yeah, yeah.
Small amount of time.
Okay, great, great, great. Thank you all for doing this work for us. We appreciate it. And your time and effort and expertise. Okay, any further questions? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance number 692, authorization for borrowing as explained. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any public comment? Any further board comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
I'll get you that stuff. I'll send that to you tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
You'll drive safely.
Sorry you had to sit through. You were the shortest presentation of the night.
Have a good holiday. Okay. Next up is the authorization to advertise the EMS millage ordinance, and Solicitor Clark and EJ Mentry are tag teaming on this.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this very brief. Every year, the board sets the tax rate by resolution. As we discussed previously, a new state law that went into effect raised the cap on the EMS, the emergency services tax millage for the collar counties around Philadelphia. However, that law requires it to be set by ordinance, as opposed to all of our other millage rates are set by resolution. So the ordinance will be adopted at the next meeting, along with the adoption of the budget and the resolution setting the rest of the tax rates. So we're seeking your authorization tonight to advertise it so we can meet the advertising requirements in time for the December 18th board meeting. And essentially, it's specific to the emergency services tax, increasing it above the previous cap of 0.5 mils.
Any questions? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the advertisement of the EMS millage ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Any public comment? Any board comment?
Just a clarification, EJ, the change in the mill is a net effect. We were spending the same amount of money, but we're taking some of it out of the general fund, is that correct?
That's correct. So the increase of this specific millage rate is from 0.5 mils to 0.7614. But the net increase is less than that because some of that was already being consumed by the general fund and was able to be essentially reallocated. But there is still a net increase because we added funding for Lower Providence Ambulance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, on to new business. First up is the consideration of Resolution 2025-39, approving fund transfer. And we have Rich Lafayette.
Sure. So, as you may recall, at the budget workshops, we talked about some funds that rely on the general fund for funding. Two of those funds are the Stormwater Fund and the Municipal Complex Fund. We are recommending transferring $500,000 to the Municipal Complex Fund to limit the need for future borrowings if there's any capital needs that come along with the municipal building. In addition, we're recommending transferring $320,000 to the Stormwater Fund to support the items in our 2026 budget and future projects. These are very similar to the transfers that we did in 2022 and 2024.
And Rich, where are they being transferred from?
They're being transferred from the general fund to the Municipal Complex Fund and to the Stormwater Fund.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-39, approving the fund transfers. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any public comment? Any board comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the authorization to advertise an ordinance amending park rules regarding parking. And who's EJ and Paul?
I'll take it.
Okay, so Assistant Township Manager Paul.
This is a
Knott.
very simple addition to our ordinance right now. Basically, currently, you can park in a parking lot whenever you want, as long as you want, even if it is outside park hours. All this adjustment to the ordinance does is make that the only way to park in a parking lot outside of park hours, you'd have to get written permission from the director or have it be an emergency services vehicle. It's very simple, a change to the ordinance. This is following the discussion that we've had over the past couple meetings.
Great. Any questions for Paul? Great. I'd like to make a motion to advertise the ordinance for amending the park rules regarding parking. Is there a second?
Second.
Any public comment, board comment? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
You're good?
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
sorry.
Sorry, is this a delayed? It's all good. All right.
I just want to say thank you, though, for the township doing this. This was a concern raised by some residents near one of the parks, and thank you for doing this. It makes sense. Makes total sense.
Absolutely.
I do have one question on it. Is there any thought of, at some point, putting up signage that reflects this?
Market's
We
closed
have,
at dusk.
we have signs in all the parks that have the park rules that, the existing park rules that are in the ordinance, so we'll update those, yeah.
Okay, yep, thank you.
And is there a fine schedule that can be applied here?
Yeah, I believe that's included in the
is.
ordinance.
Oh, sorry, I didn't look
Yeah.
that.
Yes, $300 in cost of prosecution.
What about tow enforced? Too, right?
So you'll be able to remove any unauthorized
Yep.
vehicles at any point. yes.
Okay, all right, great. Right, any further? Okay, all right. Moving on to announcements and meetings. Tomorrow, Friday, it's gonna be our 17th annual community tree lighting in Winter Wonderland. The way the weather is, it may be a winter wonderland, but this will be at Eagleville Park. Activities start at 6:30 p.m. With Santa arriving by the Lower Providence fire truck around 7 p.m. And also, there will be a Santa in the Bocce Courts area, which is the makeshift winter wonderland. But it's beautiful in there. Also, on December 17th, which is on a Wednesday, there will be a community holiday dinner, which is hosted by the township and Chadwick's Restaurant. This is open to all township residents, and details can be found at lptrec.com and lowerprovidence.org. And everyone is included. It's from 4:30 to 7:30, but you need to make a reservation. Even if you can't stay, takeouts are also available too. Food is good. So right now, Caring and Sharing Holiday Food and Gift Drive is underway. If you look in the back, you can see the wrapping of some of the gifts are taking place. Supermarket gift cards, monetary donations, and non-perishable food items are appreciated. I believe we have like 12 families that we are supporting this year. The Angel Tree is located in the lobby. Please take as many of those I guess, what do you call them? Socks, stockings. They look like socks. And help bring some smiles to our residents in need. Sewer Authority is December 8th at 4:30 p.m. Library Board of Trustees is December 15th at 6 p.m. Environmental Advisory Council, December 15th at 7 p.m. Parks and Rec Board, December 16th at 6 p.m. Zoning Hearing Board, December 17th at 7 p.m. Planning Commission is December 22nd at 7 p.m.
And the Planning Commission is canceled for December. The meeting
Is that
canceled.
confirmed? Okay, all right. Thank you, Supervisor Newfeld. So that will be canceled. Okay, thank you. All right, so now it's the time for courtesy of floor. Please come up to the podium, state your name, township, and not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Okay. All right, we'll close that. And board comments? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, all right.